if I'm giving like advice to someone who wants to be a writer, let's put it that way,
Mhm.
like you have to put in the reps. You have to like get in there and you have to be consistent and just, if it's not something like any discipline that you're doing, if it's not something that you're doing every day, then it's going to be really hard to get good at it, because you have to just immerse yourself into the process to understand it on an incredibly deep level and to continue understanding it and understanding yourself. And I think that one of the biggest things that was, that hit me whenever I first started my writing my first book was that I didn't have any idea what I thought about anything. Because you think that you know what you think and you think you have a ton of ideas, because in our minds, ideas like mental formations feel huge, but that's really just this type of like emotional and perhaps spiritual enthusiasm. It's like the energy of having thought something is huge, and we so commonly mistake that for actually having ideas. But it's not until you try to write those things down do you realize, like, oh, I actually don't have any ideas, and the ones I do have are, they don't make any sense, or they're stupid, or they're not valuable. So there's a long process of being like, okay, let me actually see, like, let's get some ideas, let me actually start clarifying my thinking and getting some direction, and then from there it's just like, fine tuning and perfecting the craft of doing it that suits you. And it's like, I think of, since I have kind of a lifelong background in music, I think about writing in terms of music. I think about in terms of like composition, and it's like every author has a different sound. It's just like every, artist, every musician has kind of a different sound. So you could have, 10 hip hop artists or 10 rock artists or whatever. And yes, they're still in the same genre, but they have a distinct different approach and sound and kind of energy to the thing. But like guitar, like the tone is in your fingers. It's like Hendrix playing a guitar is going to sound very different than another person, regardless of the quality of the guitar. And I think that writing is the same way. It's like you find your style. And so the point is that through repetition, through really getting in there, grinding, finding your style, finding out what you think, find out like, why are you writing, who are you writing towards, and for what purpose, and then how to deliver that. And then getting the feedback from people that you're writing for, and then continuing to work to and understand, like, well, what's working, what is it that's connecting with people, like what are the elements of what I'm writing that are really connecting and resonating with people, and learning to work more of that into your writing so that you can connect more deeply. So through repetition and making yourself visible, it's not too difficult, I think, to break into becoming a writer these days, because you have so many platforms. You have so many, there's so many like places online where you can write and get instant feedback. It's like you can write on social media every single day. You can post 4 times a day if you want, and you're literally having like a 4 focus groups a day. But it's all about switching the mindset to understanding that that's how it works. Because a lot of people say, like, they think, I want to be a writer. It's like, okay, cool. Well, what are you doing about that? And they're like, well, I write for an hour every Saturday morning. It's like, well, that's great if that's your goal. But they're like, well, I want to be a professional writer that's well known on social media. It's like, cool. Well, how much stuff are you sharing?